Greek and Roman mythologies can be traced back to centuries before, with numerous gods and goddesses occupying a central part of these mythical stories. Both cultures share some common names and messages. The stories that we hear of today were largely accounted to be true amongst Greeks, and they performed strict rituals to appease the divine powers. Since the gods impacted the people in their civilization to such a great extent, a lot of references to Greek mythology can be correctly identified by some of the relics discovered. They never forgot to remember their divinities in their art or literature. While much of the human mythology was derived from their neighbors and predecessors, the Greeks, it still defined the rich history of the Roman people as they eventually grew into an empire. Writers such as Ovid and Virgil documented and extended the ancient Mediterranean mythological heritage, giving us such iconic figures as Aeneas, Vesta, Janus, and the twin founders of Rome, Romulus and Remus. Different gods and goddesses signify and rule different departments. Whether we speak of Aphrodite, Venus, the goddess of love, or Zeus or Jupiter, the god of thunder, each represent an aspect of life. While not all gods are meant to be positive in their portrayal, most of them were worshipped for social welfare and peacekeeping of the community at large. Gods like Hades in the Greek mythology represent a darker energy. He was more feared than loved. Worshipping an entity before the commencement of a brutal war was gratifying and reassuring for the soldiers as well as their loved ones. That is where the gods of war, Greek Ares and Roman Mars, come into being. Their similarities and differences are worth looking at for those interested in the contrast between the two very similar mythological beliefs. So let's not wait further and discover the aspect of the story. Ares is the Greek god of war and courage, described to be the son of Zeus and Hera. He is one of the 12 Olympians in the Greek mythology. A noticeable similarity between Ares and Mars are the stories associated with their birth. Although Mars, Ares, was widely assumed to be the son of both Jupiter and Juno, another version of this mythology depicted him as the sole offspring of Juno. According to the story, as told by Ovid in the Fasti, Juno was enraged that Jupiter had given Minerva birth without the need for a mother. Jupiter and the Titan Metis had conceived Minerva, but when Jupiter swallowed the pregnant Metis, a fully grown Minerva burst forth from his forehead. Juno traveled to the realm of Flora, the goddess of flowers, spring, and fertility, in search of vengeance against Jupiter. Juno aired her grievances and begged the goddess for assistance. The Greeks had mixed feelings about Ares. In contrast to his armored sister, Athena, whose marital functions included military strategy and generalship, he embodies the physical valor required for war success, but also brutality and bloodlust. In association with Ares bestows a savage, dangerous, or militarized quality on places, objects, and other deities. The Greeks adored Athena, who represented both their favorite virtue, wisdom, and the more noble aspects of war, from intelligence to generalship. The Romans were far more bloodthirsty than the Greeks, and Mars became one of their most important deities. He was second only to Jupiter in the archaic triad of gods to be worshipped at all costs. Surprisingly, he was also the god of agriculture, replacing the Greek Demeter, reflecting the role of soldiers in farming in Roman society. Ares is usually a minor character in Greek mythology, if he appears at all. When he does, he is usually humiliated or humbled as a result. Ares' most famous story is that he and Aphrodite are caught in the act by Hephaestus, and in the Iliad, Zeus tells him that he is the son most hateful to him. That really tells you everything you need to know about Ares. While Ares was considered a destructive force, Mars began to represent the Pax Romana and the peace that Rome enjoyed during the middle years of the Roman Empire. So, the mythical father of Romulus and Remus, he was especially important to the Romans. His love affair with Venus was especially well told as an allegory for Rome's two founding traditions. Venus was thought to be the mother of Aeneas, the actual founder of Rome. In the Iliad, he cuts a rather pitiful figure and is utterly defeated by Athena, a goddess of war, but also a strategy rather than just brutal bloody violence. Ares' worship was primarily concentrated in northern Greece, and while his cult lacked the usual social, moral, and theological associations associated with major deities, it did have many interesting local features. At Sparta, at least in the beginning, human sacrifices were made to him from among the prisoners of war. In addition, a nocturnal offering of dogs was made to him as an Elias, an unusual sacrificial victim that could indicate a chthonic or infernal deity. In contrast, Mars's festivals in Rome took place in the spring and fall, at the start and end of both the agriculture and military seasons. The month of March, which was named after him, was especially full of festivals dedicated to him. Members of the ancient priesthood of the 𝐦𝐨, who were especially associated with Jupiter, Mars, and 𝐥𝐢𝐤𝐤, came out several times during the month to dance their ceremonial war dance in old-fashioned armor and chant a hymn to the gods. Mars also had a busy month in October. A 2-horse chariot race was held in the Campus Martius on October 15th, and the Armistium marked the purification of the arms of war and their storage for their winter on October 19th. The god was invoked in an ancient hymn by the 𝐼𝐸 brothers, whose religious duties included keeping enemies of all kinds away from crops and herds. As 𝐥𝐸𝐤𝐤, or sacrifices to Mars, the Romans would typically offer rams and bulls. Mars was honored on special occasions, with Suave Torilia, a triple offering of sacrificial pig, ram, and bull. He was also known to accept horse sacrifices, making him the only Roman deity to do so. The mythology surrounding the figure of Ares is not extensive. He was associated with Aphrodite from earliest times. In fact, Aphrodite was known locally, e.g. at Sparta, as a war goddess. Apparently an early facet of her character. Occasionally, Aphrodite was Ares's legitimate wife, and by her he fathered Deimos, Phobos, who accompanied him into battle, Harmonia, and Eros, god of love. Many people admired Mars as a symbol of primal masculinity. Bellona and Nereio, both goddesses of war associated with important cults in early Rome, were among the consorts. He was famous for his illegitimate affair with Venus, the goddess of love and sexual desire. Mars married Anna Perenna, the goddess of time and the passing of the years, in a separate tradition. They turned out to be a fiery couple. Mars's passion could also be violent, as when he raped Rhea Silvia, the Vestal Virgin and pivotal figure in the founding of Rome. Mars has survived in the popular lexicon due to the various cultural elements that bear his name. The Romans named the 4th planet from the sun, Mars, after him. The Great Red Planet aptly represented the god's fiery passion. Moreover, for many centuries, March was the first month of the Roman lunar year. This changed with the calendrical reforms of the 2nd century BCE, when it became the 3rd month of the year, a position which it still holds. One thing the two majorly differ is in the level of popularity. While Mars's Greek counterpart Ares has been prominently featured in popular media, Mars has largely gone unrepresented. Popular titles like God of War have made Ares a wild sensation in the minds of the public, while not many are aware of his counterpart. In addition, given the fact that the planet Mars is more popular than the god it was named behind, a lot of overshadowing is bound to be witnessed. Regardless, both the gods are and will stay a prominent part of their mythological writings. What are your thoughts on the two and their depictions? Let us know in the comments below. We'll see you next time with another amazing video. Until then, goodbye.